We are anonymous.
Chemotherapy can increase aggressivity in cancer, causing malignant cells to migrate and triggering more dangerous tumors, thereby also increasing the disease's fatality, researchers in the United States found. Patients with breast cancer who opt for chemotherapy as treatment actually face a risk of metastasis, according to a new study, as Science reports. The blood vessels of patients receiving chemotherapy drugs have more entry points through which cancer cells can get into the blood flow and disperse throughout the body, scientists report today in Science Translational Medicine. In mice with breast cancer, chemotherapy shrinks the primary tumor but boosts the number of cancer cells in the lungs and circulating the body. Although it appears chemo effectively shrinks primary tumors, the treatment ultimately triggers the spread of malignant cells, causing cancer to act aggressively and often, leading to the patient's death. It is thought the toxic medication switches on a repair mechanism in the body which ultimately allows tumors to grow back stronger. It also increases the number of doorways on blood vessels which allow cancer to spread throughout the body, The Telegraph reports. Dr. George Karagiannis, of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University, New York, found the number of doorways was increased in 20 patients receiving two common chemotherapy drugs. He also discovered that in mice with breast cancer, chemotherapy increased the number of cancer cells circulating the body and in the lungs. Due to this astonishing risk, Karagiannis recommends breast cancer patients be meticulously monitored upon beginning chemotherapy for signs the dangerous cells have begun circulating elsewhere or indications those doorways are opening. One approach would be to obtain a small amount of tumor tissue after a few doses of preoperative chemotherapy, the doctor explained. If we observe that the markers scores are increased, we would recommend discontinuing chemo and having surgery first, followed by post-operative chemo. We are currently planning more extensive trials to address the issue. Karagiannis emphasizes this does not mean patients should abandon chemotherapy outright, rather, medical personnel should closely observe patients to ensure cancer cells aren't spreading elsewhere. Although this study focused on breast cancer, Dr. Karagiannis and the other researchers intend to study other cancers to see if chemotherapy acts equivalently. In this study we only investigated chemotherapy-induced cancer cell dissemination in breast cancer, Karagiannis said. We are currently working on other types of cancer to see if similar effects are elicited. Another recent study of chemotherapy found, in the treatment of leukemia, following the traditional treatment with cannabinoids, the active compounds in the federally banned cannabis plant significantly improved patients' success rates. Published in the International Journal of Oncology, the study found, in addition to the well-known palliative effects of cannabinoids on some cancer-associated symptoms, a large body of evidence shows that these molecules can decrease tumor growth in animal models of cancer. They do so by modulating key cell signaling pathways involved in the control of cancer cell proliferation and survival. In addition, cannabinoids inhibit angiogenesis and decrease metastasis in various tumor types in laboratory animals. Smoking cannabis, the researchers noted, does not provide similar benefits to the highly concentrated plant extracts, and cannabinoids showed no increased advantage in treatment unless administered after chemotherapy. Although researchers studying the deleterious effects of chemotherapy on breast cancer did not examine cannabis or cannabinoids for benefit, it must be emphatically noted the U.S. government, the same government responsible for the continuation of cannabis prohibition which lands countless medical patients behind bars, states plainly on its website for the National Cancer Institute. Cannabis has been shown to kill cancer cells in the laboratory. We are anonymous. We are Legion. Expect us.
My name is Sergeant Rick Schiff. I'm an 11-year veteran of the San Francisco Police Department.
I hold the department's highest Medal of Honor for bravery. That used to mean a lot more to me than it does now. What I'd like to talk to you about today is my now 7-year-old daughter. This is an identical twin. Her sister is now dead. Her sister, when she was 4 years old, Kristen, developed a highly malignant brain tumor that had spread throughout her spine and her brain. The doctors told us that we had really two options: take her home, let her die, or bring her in for massive dosages of chemo and radiation simultaneously. In either event, she was going to die. They were quite certain of that, and very quickly. Believing her only chance to be the standard route, we gave her the chemo and radiation. It burned her skull so bad she had second-degree burns and her hair never came back. To change her diapers, we had to wear rubber gloves because her urine was so toxic and it burned her. At the end of 6 months, miraculously, she survived the standard treatment, although there was a high expectation she wouldn't. She still had cancer. We were told, sorry, we've done everything we can. Now she's going to die, probably within a couple of months. My wife and I, choosing not to accept that, started reading. The first book I picked up, the 3rd chapter, discussed Dr. Brzezinski. As you may guess, I have some expertise in fraud. In fact, I'm quite certain there are enough attorneys in the room that I could be vordeered as an expert in fraud. And I conducted my own investigation. I have no doubt the man is not a fraud. I have no doubt that he does what he does out of earnest belief that his medicine works. And now you're in a position to judge for yourselves whether it works or not, but it's well established by the FDA that it's non-toxic. 18 months later, we took my daughter off the anti-neoplastin. She had not died. She had no signs of tumor. She remained free for 18 months of cancer. Within a month, the cancer was widespread in her brain. We put her back on Brzezinski's. By the way, at the objections of our doctors, for some reason felt that it had failed her. We put her back on. Within 9 weeks, the tumor was completely gone. She died last July of neurological necrosis. Her brain fell apart from the radiation. The autopsy showed that she was completely cancer-free. Out of 52 cases of that disease ever, no one died cancer-free, just Chrissy. So she didn't die of a terminal illness. She died of my inability to care for her properly, and she died from bad advice. She died because there's a government institution that disseminates false information and is not looking out for the welfare of the people. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I swore an oath 11 years ago, and I think most of us in this room swore at one time or another to uphold the Constitution. It says life right in the beginning.